Welcome to FPB's Meet the Candidates. This Cable 10 series allows you, the voter, to get a closer look at our candidates and how they feel about issues that are important to our community. This is all leading up to the general election, which starts with early voting on October 13th and ends on Election Day, which is November 3rd this year. For our interviews, we took questions from the community via email and social media. We're going to talk about the shakeup in city government, how COVID is affecting our community, confronting social injustice on a local level, and much more. So we have a lot to talk about, so we better jump right in. Today's guest is Tommy Haynes, and he is a candidate for mayor. So I'm going to turn it over to Tommy. And Tommy, why don't you tell us about yourself and why you're running for mayor?
Be glad to do that. Thank you very much, Cathy. First of all, I'm just honored that Frankfort Plant Board is still doing these kind of interviews because we don't get a chance to get out anymore. So we don't see anybody unless we see them in these squares. My name is Tommy Haynes, and I'm running for mayor, and I feel very blessed to have this opportunity. I feel like I've been training for an opportunity like this all my life. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee, but I've been in Frankfort for 25 years. I came here after retiring from the military after 20 years, and when I was in the military, I got the opportunity to compete in the Olympics and got selected captain of that team. I also got an opportunity to coach at West Point and was actually offered the head coaching job, but turned it down to stay in the military. But I came on to Frankfort because they had the Kentucky Education Reform Act going, and I like to go where the action is. I came to the Kentucky Department of Education, and eventually I was with the Education Professional Standards Board. They certify teachers and administrators, and they also look at the education program at the universities. My specific job was budget, personnel, facilities, and equipment. I retired from there in 2007. I went on to even coach the track team at Western Hills to use the skills I picked up earlier, and they had 3 state championships. I had the opportunity also to open up a business here in Frankfort, which was called The Bottom. It was right downtown, right on St. Clair Street. Had a good time for 4 years before the owner of that building passed away. And then I decided to run for city commission, and I wasn't sure about the politics because I'm really consider myself one of those, I don't know, a servant leader. I just like to serve people. That's why I really get off doing, and it just seemed like the perfect thing to do. And I did that, served for 6 years, and 4 of those was as the mayor pro tem. And now it was one of those times that it just felt right. I lost my wife about 2 years ago, so I didn't run the previous year, and I do have 4 kids and 4 grandkids, and we've had an opportunity to be here, and they told me to go for it. And that's why I'm here before you, because I think Frankfort is ready for a change, and I'm here to provide it.
All right. Well, we're just going to jump right in with questions then. Since the last time we spoke, the mayor and the city commission fired our city manager, Keith Parker. So my question to you, you have experience in city government. Why can't Frankfort keep a city manager on a long-term basis?
You know, that's a $1 million question. I don't have the quick answer to that, but I think myself as mayor, I think we'd have a city manager that lasts a lot longer because I'm willing to work with the person throughout the process. You have to give people time to, really find their way. Because we have very good policies as far as rules and responsibilities. And if we follow those, there should not be any problems because every time somebody gets ready to get out of hand, you stop it and nip it in the bud. And I don't know the background of what happened to Keith Parker. I wasn't able to work with him. From what I could see, the community liked what he was doing, but there's always something behind the scenes, and I wouldn't know that. I just hope we keep a city manager long enough that we can actually see the progress that has to happen and can happen with a city manager form of government.
Okay. So you talked about the city manager form of government. According to the Kentucky League of Cities, only about 5% of Kentucky cities perform on a city manager plan. So what are the advantages of a city manager plan? And do you support that, or do you think Frankfort should look at more of a mayor-council plan?
I do support the city manager form of government for this size of town. And for a couple of reasons. One, if you get a city manager that stays a while, you're going to have that consistency because there's always going to be a turnover of elected officials. You also, if you have the policymakers that are there, the policy is in place and they can stay. But see, you have elected officials that are come and go. But in most cases, your city manager stays and then you get professional staff in. You have to depend on those staff, and those are the people that that person would be responsible for. the leadership of finance, the leadership of all the different areas that we govern. So no, it's nothing wrong with the setup. It's some kind of way we're just not executing it on a good way.
Okay. So how do you think the city commission and the mayor should handle the search of hiring a new city manager? Should they go ahead and try to fill the position, or should they let the new city leadership choose the city manager?
Well, interesting that you would ask that question. Every time I've gotten on a board, we have to hire a city manager. And when I was leaving, they had to hire a city manager. So I'm thinking that if history goes the way it has, they'll be leaving it up to the new incoming people to hire the next city manager. I do know that they do have an interim, and Tom has worked a lot with the emergency management, so I have the utmost confidence that there's no rush. We will have to look at the finances, because I have talked to people who have said, why would we want to spend all this money for a search team? I really do and would like to see a homegrown type person, because I just think they have to be a part of the community. Just like our firemen and police forces, things work better if they're part of the community. Just getting a person with a whole bunch of knowledge, it might not be what we need in Frankfort.
Okay. Well, obviously, this has been a hot button issue in our community. It's been troubling for some in our community. So if elected, what would you suggest that the mayor and city commission do to boost public confidence in city government?
Okay, now first of all, we have to open up an open, honest communication and start talking. Not so much about the specific issue of the firing of a chief, but I'm talking about the whole process. We've lost some other people in good areas, and we need to make sure they feel part of the team. When I was at the city commission, I saw some outstanding people there. But it's one of those, if you don't pat them on the back occasion and bring them in and get their ideas, those are the ones that lose, and some of them you lose through retirements. So then sometimes we're stuck with an attitude that's not a behavior that's not doing well. Those need to be weeded out. They evidently are not in the job that they want to be in. I like to assist people in putting them in a position that they have that gut feeling. This is where I belong. And that's why I'm running for mayor, because that's where I think I belong.
Yeah, great. So we have a question here. If elected, will you support the appointment of a citizens advisory committee tasked with the identification of opportunities to improve the function of city government, including overall structure and roles and responsibilities of both elected and appointed managers?
I would. Not only would I appoint a citizen, I want to have some youth on the board. One of my goals are to have youth that bring that information to us. What's going on now? They are our future right now. I'm on the last part of life, so to speak. But we've had some young people, and I've talked to some, especially when they came down and they had the peaceful protest down here. I talked to some of the leaders there, and I was encouraged that with their enthusiasm and actually their ideas and their knowledge of what they know what they want. And they're doing this during the time, the pandemic seems tough on us, but for young people, they jump on the computer, it means nothing. They've been doing that all along. So I do it, that's actually one of my goals of having an advisory board. And even more so, I want to make sure we get that youth input, because that is a piece that we've been missing for a long time. They've taken the civics out of the schools, and people aren't getting it. And when I went into a school mentoring a young man in middle school, he just don't even understand how the government works, whether it's firemen, policemen, don't even understand how hospital stuff works. And even when you get to high school, some of the people do not know what's really going on, other than, what they can see on TV or read a newspaper. If they read a newspaper, most of them are doing everything on their phone. So it's one of those, even during this race, I've had to get more adapted to online stuff, because, you just can't go anywhere and you can't just talk to anybody. And I'm one of those, I'm a people person. So it really hurts when you can't really be around the people. So this is as close as I get. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely. You always have to reach your constituents where they are, and right. However you can do that. So as of this week, Frankfort has more than 500 positive cases reported of COVID-19. So do you feel like the city leadership has taken an effectively aggressive role in slowing the spread, and is there anything more that they can do?
Well, I think they were on the right track. I think we actually led a lot of the other states when this thing started, and I just think we should have stayed a little bit tougher. If we'd have went 30 days with total mask and not open anything, I think we'd have been better off. But since we're no longer there, now we just have to keep pushing it and monitoring, because I think it is going down. But every time you have major functions, and you can see it anywhere, whether they go to a family reunion, they meet up at a college campus. Even I found out on the news that at the University of Tennessee, the football players, 44 tested positive out of 80. So you got over half the team, so your season's pretty much at least ruined for 2 weeks, and they got to get tested again. Imagine that happening everywhere. And I think I'm seeing people wearing masks now when I go to Walmart. I go to shopping in one of the other stores, and I'm glad that they're taking it serious, because originally I was seeing a lot of people walking around like, no, they want to do business as usual, and nobody can tell them what to do. But they have to realize you're not only trying to protect yourself, you're trying to protect others and your family.
That's right. So beyond affecting our community's physical health, it's also affecting mental health.
Yes.
The CDC indicates that younger adults, racial and ethnic minorities, and essential workers are reporting having experienced disproportionately worse mental health outcomes, increased substance abuse, and elevated suicidal ideation. So on a local level, what can the city do to address these associated mental health conditions?
Well, I think they have to make sure they have some hotlines available, and they have to make sure that they put the information out there. Mental illness have been overlooked for a long period of time. And I know the military had to take a strong look at it, because people come with PTSD, and a lot of times certain things would set them off. And right now, these people are experiencing something they've never experienced before. So when you start having something that you never experienced before, it automatically puts a mental pressure and stress on you. You got to find ways to remove that. They need to be picking up the stuff like yoga and meditating. Those are the kind of things that we have to do now. Even walking, the physical and the mental and the spiritual all works together if you can get those working that way. Because I look at the kids in my neighborhood, and I applaud the people across the street. They have playtime, and they still, they're close to social distancing, but they're in the same house. But they wear their mask when they go places. But the mental part of it is sometimes hard to see. If it was somewhere it was really deep and you could see some kind of physical part, sometimes those, you can help those, but some people you can never see it. And we have to make sure that we open up to people. I actually check on my neighbor that's 2 houses up, because she has had some problems. She has had a fall. She has had a surgery. I make sure her trash is out and in. And constantly when I go up and down the road, I ask people how they're doing, how they're coping with it. Some people are sitting in their garages, talking. They're talking to neighbors across the street. But in some ways, they kind of brought some of the communities, some of the neighborhoods closer together, because we had not been doing that. We had gotten used to just riding by and throwing up our hands if you're lucky. But it's one of those, they're glad to see somebody out. And I get a chance to talk to them when I'm riding my car. Every once in a while, I do have to use the sanitizer on my hands, because somebody will shake my hand, and I'm not going to, not shake their hand once they stick it out there.
Sure. Well, 4 months ago, we discussed the looming economic crisis that would result from the pandemic, and we are now seeing the negative impact on our community. So, if elected, what are some of the tough decisions that the city commission is going to have to make as far as the budget goes?
Well, I think the toughest decision is going to be how to use the reserve funds, because that was reserved for crises and for emergencies. Where we're in an emergency and we're in a crisis, but at the same time, you also have to have some longevity, because you have to see how it's affecting our occupational tax, money that's used. We have to look at our status of where we were a year ago this time and where we are now, and you have to make those adjustments. And you have to look at the federal, what kind of money is available from the federal, what kind of money is available from the state. This is not a time to act like, we got it all ready to go. We need help too. It's an emergency. But it's one of those that now we have to also, during a pandemic, you have to do this thing called a pandemic. So this is going to give us time to plan how to move forward, because this may happen again and it may not go away faster than, as fast as we would like for it to. So those are the times you have to have the thinkers, because one of the things I do want to do, I want to have a think tank group. And these are groups where you can actually put different organizations together, like the Kentucky State University with, someone downtown, with the city and the county, because we're working too much in silos. And one thing about this pandemic, it affected us all. So everybody's on the same sheet of music now. And the way we're going to come out of this, we got to come out of this together.
Okay. Well, this summer, after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, our country saw a rising movement in the calls for social justice. So my question to you is, do Black Lives Matter?
Yes, Black Lives Matter. And it's one of those that, yes, people can say all lives matter, and that's true. But if the Black lives doesn't matter, then our lives doesn't matter. And one of the best examples I heard is one person said a Black lady's house was burning down, and the white lady's house was burning down. And she said, and they're helping her, and she said, my life matters. She said, my life matters too. Help me. Well, help me too. Where if your house is burning, which the Black lives were burning, like when they was getting killed, and the only thing that made this thing really stand out is it was video. Things like this have been happening before, but it hadn't been videoed and come into your living room and look at it, and you look at it, it's not going away now. The young people and the non-Black people, white people, brown people, blue people we had in it, they all just said some things are just wrong. And that's one of those things that we've got to protect the human race. And if you're not protecting all the races, you're not protecting the human race. And this has really gotten so far out of hand that, the first thing people have to do is they tell me to wake up. They've been woken up before. We got woke up in the 60s. We got woke up in the Jim Crow area. But then you got to stand up. You got to speak up. And that's what these young people are doing, and that's what these towns. Because the only way that you're going to diffuse some of the aftermath, you got to get people to talking and say, let's get to the root of this problem. Because there are some problems. Because I believe, this is me, 98% of our law enforcement are good. They want to serve and protect, but that 2% kills us, and especially if some of the other ones are standing around and allowing it to happen. And in some of the things they have video, that was the case. And we just can't stand for that. We have to work together.
So how do you feel Frankfort rates when it comes to effectively addressing social injustices? And how do you think we can improve here locally? Well,
I think Frankfort should actually be, we should be one of those examples that other people look toward. That is an advantage of living in a smaller town. It also is an advantage that we do have a Kentucky State, a historical Black college here. We have had the chief of police and also had the sheriff to go up and meet with groups when they were in school and to get together to talk about that. We have had some joint marches, where we have people of businesses and communities and neighborhoods walk together. And, and the people that didn't support the movement, they were not throwing rocks or bringing out dogs. It was all done in a very well-mannered way in most cases. I had one incident at the governor's mansion, but, it depends on the people and the leadership of the people. What are they trying to do and accomplish? You bring awareness to things, and then you try to find out, okay, how can we make this better? And sometimes if you're just constantly working against each other, you don't really get to work it out. And I think we have the opportunity in Frankfort really to be a model, and I think I'm the person that can do that because I've been gifted, and I can't brag about it because it was given from on high. People just say that you seem to bring all kinds of diverse people together, and they work together. And I said, I see it, but I can tell you it's not me, it's something working in me. And I did attend a conference, and it was called, I'm trying to look at it, it said, Motivating the Masses, I Am the Change 2020 Summit. And a lady by the name of Lisa Nichols, it was a week-long thing, and they said, be the change, because all of us got something inside of us that we were designed specifically to do because we was made in an image of the Creator. And I just feel like I look back at everything that I have accomplished, and it all seemed to be preparing me for this moment, because we do have the racial unrest. We do have the pandemic that affects everybody. We do have the financial crisis. We do have a voting coming up that's important.
Exactly. Well, we also have a big piece of land downtown that everybody's looking at, trying to figure out what's going to happen there. So let's talk about the TIF for a minute. It's been in the news. Everyone's talking about it. There's public hearings. So can you explain to our viewers how the TIF would work, how it would work, and is this something you would support?
Okay, now first of all, I have to say that the TIF is an excellent financial tool for things to work. One of the things that definitely can work is going to help Frankfort Independent Schools because they would get the revenues from that. There's some other things that as they go through the process that we just have to be cautious because they're talking about some people that's going to contribute toward it, and I haven't heard from whoever those people are. Okay. I'm on the outside on that. As a matter of fact, I wrote an answer to the newspaper today. And that'll be the longer version if someone actually wants to see what I really feel all the way through, because it would take way longer than we have on this view. Because when you talk about the TIF and you talk about all the different possibilities, they are limitless. And they have worked well in certain cities. That's how down in Louisville, when they upgraded their athletic facility, that was done through a TIF. But the larger towns, I've been able to get away with it, and I'm hoping we'll be able to get away with it also to help us to grow. But I just want us to just move at a pace that's comfortable for Frankfort. Okay.
As funding has been reduced for Downtown Frankfort, Inc. and KCDC, our economic development group here in town, do you think this minimizes the effectiveness of their missions to attract and support businesses here to our community? And how do you think the city can support these agencies?
Okay, now first of all, we have to support them regardless because they're in a very critical role. And I think sometimes it might look like that on the outside, but I have seen people do more with less money than some people did with a lot of money. So we got to make sure that we have the right people in the right places doing the right things. And that might force them and force everybody to do what I'm actually projecting of wanting to do, and that's having people work together for some of these missions. To have the KCDC working well with the chamber and working well. I'm not saying they haven't been in the past, but I know that the chamber's top person is stepping down. We've lost people downtown. So the important part now is to make sure that we have the right people in those jobs that have a vision and make sure that their vision is in line with being able to do more with less, because we have. And sometimes we get too used. Sometimes we have too much. And we get used to it and we don't get the things done. And sometimes we need to actually do the little things that we can do well than to spread ourselves out and not do anything well. But I think I do support them as an organization and what they're tasked to do. But everybody's going to look at doing things different. Okay.
So if elected, how would you involve business leaders in board appointments and other decision-making processes in our community?
Well, hopefully, I take board appointments very serious. And it's one of those that I would like to get the best person for the job, and hopefully that includes business leaders. And hopefully they would also be on the team of trying to move Frankfort forward forever, because they're in the same predicament the rest of us are in now. Like I said, it is a level playing field. Our businesses are having to do stuff differently. Our leaders are having to do something differently. So a change has happened whether people wanted to change or not. I put the twist on it of positive change because I'm the most positive person I know. And everybody else has told me that too. And it comes natural. And it's one of those, when I look at it, I say, I'm looking at, just a way to make sure that we get, things done. I'm looking for positive attitudes, positive partnership, positive opportunities. And all of these things that we're discussing about having a group that come together that are civilians, community workers, and children, that's part of the opportunities. The partnerships of bringing organizations together, that's the positive part that's been missing because we do work so much in silos. And silos are not bad, but you can only, they say if you want to go somewhere fast, you go alone. If you want to go somewhere far, you take a group. So it's time we want this thing to outlast, my legacy, my lifetime. When I'm gone, I want to make sure there was something left. So the other people can say, we're so glad that they left us this so we can pick it up. And I ain't talking about many, many years from now. They're right on my tail and they're ready to move out.
Okay. My next question is, what can city leadership do to foster a more partnering relationship with Kentucky State University?
Okay, and actually we were starting to do that, and the pandemic hit. So I'm going to talk as though the pandemic didn't hit.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, we have to look at our resources, both ours and Kentucky State. And I'm actually on one of their boards up there, one of their committees, myself and Karen Armstrong Cummings, and we represent the community. And what we do is look for things that they can do for us, and then they look for things that we can do for them. And it's one of those that they have allowed us to use their swimming pool. Of course, when I was, we only had the Y, and they've had some competitions there. And their people have gotten with the business community, and many of the students have gotten jobs because they have to have internships and they have that experience. And this is a time that they really do need to look at cross-cultural relationships. We're talking to people that don't look like them. You got to look at problem solving. You got to look at conflict resolution. These are the kind of things that they really need. Math is important, but that's just your basic. If you're going to deal with other people and you're going to aspire to be great and you're going to aspire to be an entrepreneur, you got to have these soft skills that's going to get you there, because nobody operates in a vacuum by themselves. We're all in this thing together. And some other things that have been doing, because if you look at paper, sometimes you put stuff on paper and it don't get used. They have a master plan and it includes city stuff. City has a master plan and it includes Kentucky State stuff. Sometimes we need to make sure people change papers, make sure everybody's on the same sheet to see that, okay, we changed, because you have to realize that one time Kentucky State did go through some change of presidents, about like we went through change of city managers. So it's one of those that we all had to learn each other again, and we're doing just that.
Okay. Well, something along with Kentucky State, something the City Commission is trying to do is the completion of the Thoroughbred Trail. From downtown to Kentucky State University. Is that something, would you support the expeditious completion of that trail?
Absolutely. Okay. I would support the expedition, and right now is an ideal time. It ain't that many people in school. It ain't a lot of activity going on. The weather's fine. I'm just wondering why it's taking this long. I saw stuff that got approved, and then I think what happens, we wake up to that, and then we shift and start working on something else. Mm-hmm. And we never finish things. And that's why I say if there were partnerships, people will hold you accountable. That's why when I used to work out, I used to always have a partner, because when I didn't feel like going, that partner would always want to go, and vice versa. So that gave us both that inspiration to keep going. And that's what we have to do. We have to tug on them at times, and they have to tug on us. Now, of course, things changed this year, because we primarily supported them a lot when they had homecomings, that kind of stuff. And see, all that stuff is canceled for this year. But still, we can be in the planning business to make sure the next time we do something like that, we can do it bigger and better. And even Kentucky State used the elderly care, I called it the Senior Citizen Center, but the actual name is Capital City Activity Center. They used to have their fish fries out there. And some of the people that came said that was the first time they had been on KSU's campus. And they lived here most of their lives. So there has been no relationship. So for you to build a relationship, you have to build an opportunity, a framework, so people can come together in their natural settings, and they can see that people really can get along. We're not that much different. We just stay in it wherever we are, and we don't express ourselves and stretch ourselves out.
Yeah. Okay, well, we're running short on time, and I told you that I would leave you enough time to tell everybody why you're the best candidate for mayor and ask them for their vote for it. So here you go.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, Frankfort, I want to let you know I thank you for just giving me an opportunity to run. This has been great, living in Frankfort 25 years. And it's one of the things that one of the tennis players, Arthur Ashe, said a while back, and he just said, the key to success is confidence, and the key to confidence is preparation. I feel very prepared to go into this role as mayor to make sure that you are pleased with the forward progress of what's going on. I'm an open book. If you want to know something about me, you can either look it up, read it, or just ask me. I do want to let you know, if you want to know some details about me, go to TommyHaynesForMayor.com, because that'll actually give you probably more than you want to know. But, we have to get to know the best of each other, since we can't see each other in person. I'm asking for your vote on November the 3rd. Let's make it different. I'm going to be a change. I want you to be a change. Positive change with Tommy Haynes. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Tommy. We really appreciate your time today. I know I appreciate it, and I know the viewers appreciate hearing from you and learning more about you and your views on things that are important to us. So to our viewers, I want to say thank you for watching, because it is so important that you get informed before you go vote. So I do encourage you to go vote. You can do mail-in voting or early voting, which starts October 13th, or you can vote on Election Day, which is November 3rd. So that's all for this edition of Meet the Candidates, and we'll see you next time.